Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, my number one is Gran Turismo 6 on the PlayStation 3. I played a hell of a lot of this week and last week, although I didn't mention it. It's a game that I admire a heck of a lot, but everything about it is business-like. My reaction to it is business-like. I want to, doff my cap and just say, yes, good job. And, everything about it's business. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's one of the few games, if somebody came up to me and said, I'm going to buy a PlayStation 3 just to play Gran Turismo, I have no doubt they'll get their money's worth out of that whole package.
Yeah.
Because there is that much I don't know, there aren't many games you can say that about. Because Gran Turismo has always been an Anorak's game. It's the content is what's important. So it seems ridiculous to me that there's God knows how many cars.
1,200,
cars. Yeah, 1,200, exactly. That's it. But I mean, that's to a completely dedicated petrol head. That's really important. It does look really good. I mean, I was bouncing between this and Forza 5, and it still looks really good. There are some hefty loading times, but it runs at 1080p, a really sort of pretty faultless 60 frames per second. The loading times are a problem, but only when you're doing sort of smaller bits and pieces. But I'll get to that in a sec. The fact that there's over 100 tracks makes a real difference in comparison to Forza, because Forza almost immediately you're playing tracks you've already raced. Yeah. It's like, come on. In this, that doesn't happen for a very long time. There's always new tracks to race on. Similarly, Forza is just relentless sunshine and dry tarmac, and there's rain, there's snow, there's like sand and gravel, and there's dusk and nighttime. So it's a world away from Forza, which is just that's fundamentally changes the game, especially the stuff that are set on mountainsides and the like gravel you have to contend with, in like rally cars and stuff. When you're driving rally cars, those are like beats in the campaign to sort of difficulty spikes that you have to adapt to, but they're really, really good fun, those bits. I mean, Forza has never had any personality at all. It's almost made by a computer. I mean, even if I was to show this to someone and say, I could probably pass this off as a remake of a PS1 game, visuals aside, because there's still an acid jazz on the soundtrack. There's still monotonous beats and like synthesized guitar loops, and you're just like, is this 1998? What the hell? But that's the other thing. Say what you like about Forza's affiliation with the Top Gear people. At least that kind of brings it into this century, whereas this kind of feels like it's still stuck. I mean, they haven't progressed a great deal from where the first Gran Turismo was. I mean, the menus still look like colourful spreadsheets and stuff. It's just business-like. Like I said, it just feels like business. As in Forza, also, you get less cars for free during the campaign, and that seems like, again, a bit of a play for microtransactions, but I still feel the same way. I don't think they should be allowed, just because they're taking advantage of people. I mean, what's his name? Yoshida said on Twitter that, the only reason these transactions are here is because, they're optional. They're to provide an alternative path to busy people. And it's like, why are you penalising busy people? And if that's the case, why are you charging them the full asking price up front? It just seems like a weird system. It shouldn't be allowed. But I still feel the same way, and I said it about Forza. Part of the joy of these games is grinding through them and earning that stuff. So taking a shortcut to something just feel... I mean... They have it in all manner of games. That's sort of cutting some of the pleasure out of the game. But yeah, what's different from 5? The license tests are mandatory again. They always were. In 5, they weren't. And this is fine. But the license tests are like 30 seconds, if that. And the loading times in between each one can sometimes sort of rise above that. So you're spending a hell of a lot of time sitting in menus when you're doing the licenses. And with regards to the lack of personality... First, the coffee break missions, you start knocking cones over, standard shit. But then after a while, you're racing on the moon in a moon buggy.
That,
That's fun. I mean, it's, and the physics feel sort of... I mean, they've plotted an exact course that the real Apollo moon buggy takes over the moon. I mean, an absurd... But that's what they do. They take something and... but those bits are fun, and they're very slow, obviously, so it's a nice, slightly eccentric change of pace. The AI is still... They basically ignore the fact that you're on the track. They just ignore you until you try and sort of move up from third into second, at which case they finally start noticing. And the other thing that this still does, cars race off in the beginning, and you can be behind them the whole time, and then in the final lap, occasionally they'll just like start slowing down and letting you pass them.
It's weird, isn't it?
But it's been like that since...
I remember that from the first 2.
Exactly, it's like that. Again, it's like nothing has changed, and there's still no damage. The damage, like cars tonk into each other, making the same ridiculous sound effect, and there's no visible or hardly any visible damage at all. the menu still automatically default no matter what you're doing. Whenever you go to a menu, the first default option is retry. So when you finish a race, press X, you just hit retry. You go straight back and you're just like, no, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go to X. But every time it's still on retry. There's a stockyard now, so if you've got loads of cars, you can just dump them in the stockyard rather than having to sort of manage them all in one go. It's a good way to sort of throw a load of cars in there in one go. So you can still favourite cars, but this is just another way to sort of micromanage. It's you can't. I mean, it's not the kind of game that I could ever fall in love with, but you have to admire how much work's gone into it, and how it looks nice, and there's an untold amount of content here.
It's just so weird that it came out the week after the PS4.
Yeah, that is a shame, and it's terribly undersold by all accounts, which is a shame because there's blood, sweat, and tears all over this at the same time as it being all business, and I just hope that they sort of inject it with a little something next time, because this whole laid back, this is I don't know, it's so weird. Business-like is just the word I just keep coming up with. It's very much by the numbers, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. It's very, very good, just completely lacking in personality at the same time. But if you've been waiting for this for 3 years, it will deliver, there's no doubt.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I tapped out on Gran Turismo a long time ago, but yeah, like you say, I definitely admire it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was surprised how much I did like it. As somebody who doesn't drive and doesn't really love car games, it's just weird. It feels like a relic, even though it's brand new.